Greetings, traveler. I know it may be tempting not to heed warnings telling you to turn back now, but this one you might want to pay attention to if you're sensitive towards sexual content or foul language in a podcast. We will be swearing during this episode, and we will be talking about some not so PG-13 things. So this is your one and only chance to turn back now. Please enjoy the show.
Oh, I'm good. Oh. Oh man.
Man, indeed.
Woman?
No.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I was just responding.
Oh man, one of these days we gotta get TJ on the show.
Oh yeah, especially after the Terran episode.
TJ's not allowed to be on the show until everyone else has been on the show, because that's the joke. That's the running joke, is that TJ's never on the show.
Then why am I here?
It really would be. He's such a bombastic character. If he were to be on here, it would explain so much. He could have so many insights to share. He is the oldest among us.
That is true.
Did you just say among us? No, but that's the reason. Again, that's why he has to be last, is because he's gonna be like the big finale, of all of the guests that we know personally.
But
But
like,
I'm really small.
but like chronologically, technically he would be next because it would be Terran, TJ, and then Dylan. Wouldn't that make sense? I feel like we should get him on sooner or later.
Alphabetical.
Alphabetical and chronological. But I'm just saying that I think TJ's like, because Taryn has had the worst luck, and then Dylan's like a fine middle ground, and then TJ's like the good luck. So we gotta go from worst to best.
He's the anti-Terran.
The anti-Taryn.
I think Dylan's like a skewed middle.
But anyways, what are we talking about today, producer? What's this episode gonna be?
Oh, we're talking about TJ.
Oh, hi TJ.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Nat 1 podcast, aka Nope, because nope, you're not gonna want to hear what we're about to have to say. I'm Pertusic.
I'm Levi.
And I'm Jordan.
So
Editing Jordan cut here.
Editing Pertusic, tell editing Jordan to cut there.
There is no editing produce it.
He's right there,
Tell
dude.
editing produce it to tell editing Jordan to cut there.
I'm gonna kill you.
We have a few running gags. TJ, I don't know if you've watched our episodes.
Nope.
One of our gags that we've repeated now is Jordan at the very beginning said editing Jordan cut here, which actually makes sense. Now I always say editing produce it, tell editing Jordan to cut there.
Now it just makes the cut longer that I have to make.
And then there's the one I stole from Chuckle Sandwich, which is audio listeners love you to death. But then we have visual watchers hate you to death.
We don't have visual watchers.
I found them on the top.
Yeah.
But anyway. Welcome, TJ. Welcome.
so
Oh, we have to do our intro. Sorry, TJ. Wait 1 second. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the That One podcast, aka Dope. Because nope, you're not gonna want to hear what we're about to say. I produce it.
I'm Levi.
I'm Jordan.
And now, TJ, you can say your thing.
I'm TJ.
He did it.
Today we have a very special guest with us.
Indeed.
The entire opening was about how he's never going to be here. We have TJ joining us for the Nat One podcast today.
Yeah, everybody clap.
Well,
Not
that's-
us.
Was 40 minutes late.
That's okay.
Yeah, we expected it. DJ suffers from chronological lateness.
Chronological.
Don't you mean chronic?
Chronological.
No, it's in order. It comes in time-based order. He's late.
If you
What?
say so.
I don't know. I'm crunk right now. No. So TJ, we're here since this is your first time on the podcast. We're here to talk to you, and since this is obviously somewhere around the middle of April that this episode is premiering, we're here to talk to you about you and D&D. So a lot of us have shared our insights about D&D many times over. But first, TJ, let's ask you, give a little introduction of yourself first. Tell the people at home who you are, as comfortable as you are. Explain like your lifestyle. I feel like that's important for the coming conversation.
What do you mean by lifestyle exactly?
What you do on like your daily, weekly basis.
When you're not hanging out with us, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, it would be a mixture of sleep, Running, video games, and then probably more sleep and food.
Running? What for? What would you do that for?
Because I hate myself and run college sports
Never heard that part before.
in a good way.
Fair enough. I just thought that was important because, as we're going to talk about D&D,
Actually, it's more my body hates me, not the other way around.
I feel that. Obviously, there is a stigma with D&D and nerdism in general that it is unfit people. Health has fallen to the wayside. And I wanted to bring that up because TJ is incredibly physically fit.
Yep.
Spends a lot of time running. And yet he is an omega nerd.
The Omni nerd, if you will.
What shirt are you wearing right now, TJ? Can I ask?
Ocarina of Time.
See?
There you
I was
go.
hoping it was Flash, but anyway.
They're dirty.
Yeah, those dirty ocarinas. So now we're going to talk about you and D&D, TJ, for real this time. So before you started playing D&D with us or at all, what did you think about Dungeons and Dragons?
Not gonna lie, it was kind of like you knew it was a thing, but didn't know at all what it was beyond that. So it was like, well, that's a game. Honestly, thought it was a board game.
That's fair. Did you know anybody that played it before you played it?
I believe you mentioned it that you played one time, but other than that, no.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have any like major preconceived notions about the game before you started playing? You didn't think anything about it?
Nope.
Cool.
Not a one.
All right. Now we're going to talk about the fall into the rabbit hole that all of us have taken.
Here we go.
Presumably all listeners as well. Maybe not. So, TJ, you stepped in one day to Levi's house.
Technically, the first time we played was when you tested out your JoJo campaign at Beacreds.
Shh. We don't mention that campaign.
We're going to at some point. We have to at some point.
I really don't think you should be ashamed of it. It was
I
really
loved
fun.
that. It was
really
so much
entertaining.
fun.
In the underwear symbol that is my D&D career, it is the skid mark. But anyway.
Really, that's the skid mark, not sci-fi or Star
Wars. We've mentioned Star Wars and sci-fi at a glance, but those are another day.
That's our May 4th episode.
That should be coming up soon with how the schedule is looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, next week, I believe. For our recording, not for listeners. Love you to death. Not you watchers, though.
How many times do I have to say it?
Eventually, one of these days. Hey, the It's Always Sunny cast had a podcast that wasn't visual, and then like after 50 episodes, they changed it so that they had visuals. What if we do that one day, and then they'll be able to see us, and then we can tell them visually that we hate them?
Impossible. Anyway, so TJ, what did it feel like to you? We'll say the first time you started playing D&D with our crew that we now play with regularly.
It was entertaining. It was very much more story involved than I would have expected for something like that, which is more up my alley. So
yeah,
this was Vivia 1. So we in the Terran episode we explained partially Vivia 1 in all its glory to the good old audio listeners.
I got to join and immediately be broken because we didn't know how to play.
Yeah.
That's true. I feel like TJ knew the most of the rules out of any of us.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah. Fast learner.
I think
because I started looking stuff up.
Yeah, I think TJ should go ahead and explain his first character.
Mm-hmm. Please do.
Can I kind of copyright it? Because I'm not creative.
Oh, that's
okay. We're fine on that.
Fine.
Okay. There's an extra vowel somewhere.
Yeah. So I'm not creative at all. So I just rip off characters.
We mentioned that.
So my first character was just good old John Constantine as a wizard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Conjuration, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I got to walk through your final fight with my hands in my pockets with like 7 concentration spells going at the same time with summoners around me.
Badass moment in the entire campaign.
Since we didn't play with correct rules, Conjuration was actually fun. Unlike core D&D where it's not. And that was a very short character, John Constantine, because he joined.
I mean, he was like 5'10".
Short-lived character. Not short-lived because he didn't die, But I mean, story-wise,
He
John
made it to
Constantine
Vivia too.
was a pretty short-lived character because the first campaign, TJ joined that when we were like,
3/4 of the way in,
yeah,
if not more.
really close to done.
That was after the time skip, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. I
Yep.
joined immediately after.
I don't even remember.
We're gonna have to explain this at some point.
I remember that Pertusit asked me if TJ could join, but I never actually, I don't know if Pertusit's ever told me. So if you will enlighten me, Pertusit, why did you, oh my God, that was a really hard stutter. Why did you why were you just like, I think TJ should join?
If I remember right, I think we were planning on hanging out, and then you realized you had plans. You're like, hey, you want to just come and play with us? It'd probably be fun.
Kind of. It was first off, TJ and I have been friends for a very long time, longer than I have with the rest of the Nat 1 cast, actually. TJ and I were friends in 7th grade, where we were both library helpers and had a mutual friend.
He would assault my ears with tales of League of Legends.
Yeah.
He plays League of Legends. Get him.
But because
Toxic.
TJ and I were still is, since we were friends all the way since back then, TJ and I's friendship was like separate from our big friend group that we were all in. So if something was going down in the big friend group, I could always go tell TJ with safety of mind that he wouldn't tell anybody else. Where if I sold one person in the big friend group, it could become everybody's front page the next day. So TJ and I were very close friends for a very long time, and it was separate. And we had other friends with us. There was like 4 or 5 of us with TJ and I. They kind of dwindled off. So about the time that we were all playing D&D, TJ and I were hanging out, and it was usually just TJ and I, no one else anymore. And I was like, TJ's an Omega nerd, and he would probably like D&D because of the amount of freedom you have with playing the game. I'm just going to invite him and see if he clicks with it. That was why I invited him, and I thought he was cohesive enough to play. He wasn't a toxic guy that was going to yell at us.
He also wanted a bit of a wingman, but I won't make him explain that.
Truing.
Yep. So, okay. I don't think I think I had just assumed it was pretty much what I had assumed already, which was just like, yeah, TJ's my friend and I think he would enjoy this.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if there was a special reason or anything. Oh, there's an for you, editing Jordan.
Yeah.
So
I've got a tally going.
It's actually been all part of my 3-year plan to just like destroy your basement's plumbing.
I don't know if we can get into that over the airwaves. I think we'll get censored.
Well, I
plumbered or something.
explained the first time I interacted with TJ in a previous episode.
True.
Not the first time I interacted with him, but like the first big impression TJ left on me, which was when I was behind you at the Christmas concert at the elementary school.
Oh yeah.
So the people know that if they've watched that episode.
It was a big stinky impression.
The saga continues.
Yeah, first time he came to my house. Couldn't go into that bathroom in our basement where we played D&D for the entire day afterwards.
You couldn't go in the bathroom. It was out of the bathroom too at that point.
It came out of the bathroom.
It had arms and legs and everything.
It being the smell. Let's not give them the wrong idea of what it is. It's coming out of the bathroom. Yeah, so TJ does in fact have a master plan to destroy your plumbing, but I think he also has a master plan to destroy some of our campaigns, and it worked for Levi. No.
He didn't destroy it. He did shake it up.
I made it my story.
TJ became the anime protagonist.
So
I had my own theme and everything.
You've explained your first character, who we've said is pretty short time frame to play.
Mm-hmm.
But then TJ's second character, well, technically not a second character because
But
we had
the
a brief
same.
interlude between the first and second Vivia campaign.
Two brief
Technically,
interludes.
Constantine would have been second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
The next Vivia character
There
that
we
TJ
go.
made.
You mean you didn't
Could you-
love Jason from Sci-Fi?
Could you give
The
a
lone
brief
survivor?
explanation?
TPKs.
Could you give a brief explanation of Finral in Vivia 2?
Brief? Like,
Okay, I don't have
hit
to
the
listen.
highlight. Okay, let's start.
It doesn't necessarily have to be brief, actually. We have a lot of time.
We've got a lot of time.
True. Let's go in order. Can you tell us your inspiration, although you wear it on your sleeves?
Oh yeah, well, another lack of creativity. So this time I took inspiration from 2 characters,
Whoa.
which would be the straight to form Finral from Black Clover and then Laszlo from Fire Emblem Fates, and I just smushed them together into a bard casing.
Yeah. And what was the subclass for that bard?
Valor.
Yeah, I think that's worth mentioning because I think a lot of people online hate the Valor bard, but yours worked.
Well, it worked for 18 levels, and then it got really broken after those 2 multi-class.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, for frame of reference, in case this is your first time listening, hello! This is where we started to get really in tune with the mechanics. And TJ is a very quick learner, so he was very quick to learn how to power game. And we don't shame power gamers around here. He just made a very strong, good build very fast.
Yeah. Very quickly.
The bard was our tank.
And our DPS.
Well, early game and then late game DPS. Mid game, I wasn't exactly DPS.
True, that was more me.
If
And our paladin.
I can give a brief interlude here, if people remember from the Terran episode, the reason for the whole debacle with one of Terran's characters dying was because I gave Finral a few items that I regretted giving him. Because
I bought them fair and square, and
I didn't expect for him to have the capabilities to get the means to get those items, but he did.
Okay.
Because I got locked in a mountain for 3 days.
We gotta tell this story. We gotta hear it from TJ. Okay. Before we dive into it, you've told us how you came about with Finral, and Finral lasted from the beginning to the end, from the very beginning, from the session 0. So let's go straight into the mountain incident. To TJ, tell us your side of what happened.
Oh man. So, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. That was the second time we went to Hammerdeep, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we killed a Baylor somehow that I tanked because the paladin wouldn't get close.
And if I remember correctly, you actually did kill it. I didn't nerf its health.
No,
So
you didn't nerf its health, but you took away its wings. So it was stuck on the ground with
That's
us.
right. It couldn't fly.
And you forgot about its retaliation feature until the very end.
You also forgot about a mechanic.
We've explained that
We were level
amateur
5.
at the time. I was still kind of an amateur DM phase, so I was testing things out.
I also feel that too. He was testing hit points
out.
I feel like also any DM could do that. Just forget a mechanic because there's so much to deal with.
Oh, totally. I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
Well, I guess technically Terran tanked it first because he went down in round 1.
Yeah.
I did.
Did we talk about that in the Terran episode?
No, we didn't.
Yeah. He used that superior movement speed to hit it once and get hit once.
Briefly explain, Terran's character was a monk, and he decided it was a good idea to run ahead of everyone in the party and try to 1v1 this Baylor. Level 5. Level 5. He got downed in 2 turns.
Yeah. Anyway, TJ, the mountain story.
Okay, so it was post that, so we were exploring. And for story reasons, we were getting chased by a different Baylor. But then that Baylor got stopped by a pit fiend. Actually, there was 3 and 3 of each, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I had a nice magic broom, so we got away from them when the pit fiends started fighting. And then I flew back through, because we were essentially in the Underdark at that point, although we didn't know it at the time. And I flew back through tunnels to make sure we weren't being followed. And then everybody else found their way out while I was doing that, and then proceeded to cause an avalanche and cave me in the mountain.
Yeah, we did do that.
Thanks to Lehman's tiny hut, we did not die.
We were fine.
Because I graciously allowed you to cast it before an avalanche hit you.
So I had, it was either 3 or 4 days to just fly through all these caverns. Probably not smart on my part, but I survived. I found several hundred pounds of mithril that I used the broom to cart out of the tunnels over 3 days.
This is the part where I gave him something that I really shouldn't have given him in retrospect.
I rolled I think it was a 28 investigation check in a magma cavern and found a giant mithril vein and I had a mithril sword, so I just started cutting it out and taking it up chunks at a time.
And how much was that worth again, Levi?
I don't remember the exact number. Don't bully me.
So much. So much.
I
It was a lot. It was 5 digits. I remember that.
It was
You
actually
broke their
6.
economy.
It was 6.
Yeah, you gave me 10,000 platinum for it all, so 100,000 total. And by the end of the campaign, I still had about 90,000.
So what did you buy with all this amount of money?
Let's see, I got a cubic gate and a belt of storm giant strength, I believe.
Hey, I think you
Another
were
item
right.
I should have never gave him.
And
Which
a-
this?
And a spare magic broom. Yeah, I'm still angry about the belt.
That's
is
why
how-
he
see-
did that to Zamda.
See, now we're getting this. It's connecting now to everyone who knows this story from different perspectives why this event happened.
Mhm.
See,
I
what it
panicked.
is Levi hated the player, not the game.
Well, no, it was more like not immediately, like just a session after I gave you these things, I was like, oh man, that was a bad idea. That was a really bad idea because that's just going to make everything super easy. And he's never going to be challenged again. And I want him to be at least challenged. So
But
I was like,
went
how
down
do
like
I?
2 times the whole campaign,
Fair, but
even
was like-
without it.
how do I reverse this decision in a way that doesn't just seem like I'm just taking it away to take it away? And it kind of ended up being that anyways.
Kill Terran.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You even failed to kill me in that situation.
That is true.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the answer for every problem.
Kill Terran.
Kill Terran.
Oh, dude,
He's got a backup character. He's fine.
and too much debt. Kill Terran. Problem with the IRS. Kill Terran. Your ex-wife left you. Kill Terran.
Thankfully, Levi forgot about all of the gold that I now had, so I didn't lose that, but I did lose the belt and the gate.
I
And
didn't
another
forget-
belt, actually.
I just figured
I lost
that
2
it-
belts in one campaign. In one session, actually.
I didn't forget about
You
the
know how
money.
hard
I
it was
just-
to keep my pants up the rest of the campaign?
Something about
I
2
just didn't
nickels.
want to rob you of absolutely everything I had given you. So the money I figured would be the best one to let you keep because
He
you
tried to
could
take my sword, which is from a completely different thing, too.
to fund
ma-
further ventures.
I managed to weasel my way out of that one.
That
Terran
you
didn't.
Terran didn't.
This is why you're the anti-Terran, because despite your risky behavior, it paid off immensely well for you every time, every step of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, can you imagine being a DM and not wanting a level 6 bard with a defender, a cubic gate, and a belt of storm giant strength?
I don't have to imagine, TJ.
And 100,000 gold?
Hey, 10,000 platinum. It's not that bad.
Actually, I can check how much I finished with.
He's gonna
That's
check.
true, yeah.
All right. While you're checking that, we've already discussed the mountain stuff. Although Jordan and I never really explained our perspective on the mountain situation. Not too much. It's mostly been focused on Terran and TJ because they are like the
two that got hit with the
chaotic-
stick.
They got screwed over the most.
But I feel like we should talk about it. So Jordan, why don't you share your perspective of that whole mountain incident?
Well, I will say that was the second genocide that we witnessed in the campaign. I think caused by the same
Yeah, it was the second.
character. So, but there was a detail that was put in there. My character had the unique perspective of being able to see ghosts. So poor Atlas saw the souls of thousands of people leaving their bodies as the
They're
city was
dwarves.
destroyed
Yeah,
twice.
Did we explain the city destruction part, or have we just been explaining the BBEG hunted you guys down part?
No, we've
No.
just been explaining the Terran killing.
Yeah,
We'll
so
let,
they were in. Just briefly, they were in this giant dwarven city that was like full of artisans and artificers and stuff, and that's how they got all these magic items. Was they bought them from these artificers in the city, and then the BBEG found them and killed everyone in the city.
Yup.
With an army of Baylors, which kind of became a recurring trope.
Mm.
But
It's
yeah,
a
Also,
theme.
I ended with 62,000 gold. I forgot I bought a couple things.
Dragon Mask.
Dragon Mask.
Subway sandwich, probably.
I probably bought a few of those.
But yeah, the mountain thing. While we were doing, while TJ
And,
was
oh,
mining
animated
out.
weapons. That was the rest.
That's true. Well, while TJ was mining out the mountain, the rest of us were trapped in Liamon's tiny hut for like 3 days because there
Yeah.
was like a mountain of snow on top of us. So we had to come up with a plan to like climb out without the snow collapsing on us. And it was, yeah. So that was what I was doing while TJ was making bank.
It involved a bunch of firebolts, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right.
Yep.
Good
I
old
did the same.
Simonius.
I was doing much the same, except I was a rogue, so I did nothing. I just kind of sat there and let the magic people do their magic thing in a Layman's tiny hut, while the cool bard got to get a lot of money.
And hang out with a giant spider.
And
What
my
was-
spider!
That's when we got Dave. I forgot about that.
was Dave!
I called him
What?
Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff was a girl.
Jeff was a girl. Yeah.
Dave
We've
was a girl!
We've explained Atlas and Finral's perspectives of the event now. So what was Victor,
also-
the rogue's perspective? Oh, go ahead, TJ.
I was just gonna say, let's not forget you then proceeded to shoot a level 9 witch bolt at me.
I did do that.
That I survived.
Because not giving an item was given with the threat of death. And you said you weren't going to, so she killed you.
I didn't die.
You didn't die because you had a Fates card. Not a Fates card. Is it Vizier? It's
I
what
believe
you
it's
have.
Vizier.
Well,
Vizier.
I survived the hit too, was the thing, and then I just sent things back to be like, okay.
No, it
okay.
is Fates. It is Fates.
It's
You're right.
Fate.
Vizier's asked a question.
You survived it, but it did a ton of damage. And so you were like, okay, I know I can't win this. So you did the Fates and then gave something. But Taryn didn't have a Fates card. So when Taryn tried to do the exact same thing, he just stayed dead.
Man, imagine if he had like said something cool like, I'm gonna try and dodge behind Atlas, and then Atlas died.
Then Taryn would have died in real life.
Real life!
Yeah. So we've done the cleric perspective. We've done the bard perspective. We've done the dead monk perspective. What
Poor
was the
Taryn.
rogue's perspective? What was Victor's perspective on this whole event?
Separating Victor from me, Victor's perspective was, man, it's boring to be in this layman's tiny hut and not be able to do anything for 3 days, and then getting out and seeing Finral and be like, oh, cool, I'm gonna go buy my cool, awesome dagger that I've been wanting this whole time, which gives me advantage on initiative because I just got enough money for it, and I am an assassin rogue, and I get huge benefits from going first. Let me go buy it. La da 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 da. I go up and I go get it. I'm like, thank you, sure. Here's your money. And then we walk outside. The world is getting destroyed. Eok comes right up to me alone, and says, give me the dagger. And I so desperately, Victor so desperately wanted that dagger. He said, can you take anything else? Anything. I don't care. I just not. You can take the clothes off my back. You can have my money. You can have Simonius. Just give me this dagger. And she let me have it in exchange for a different kind of dagger. But
Oh yeah, I forgot that's how you got out of that. Yep.
That's how Valerie 2 happened.
yes,
The BBEG for Vivia too, for you audio listeners, love you to death. This recurring theme of taking characters from other mediums, other pieces of media, and then using them in our D&D settings has not just been something TJ has done. I have used it
For
a
once.
lot for world building purposes. I've taken bits and pieces from a bunch of different universes and put them in, but usually I don't like copy paste. But for the BBG of Vivia 1 I did, it was Slanesh from the Warhammer universe. For 2, there was this whole convoluted plot about how it was Slanesh, but it wasn't Slanesh now. It was a person with a different name, but they still embodied everything about Slanesh. So, God of chaos, God of desire, God of passion, God of all that stuff. So what they did to Victor in exchange for letting him keep the dagger was turned him into a girl
yeah.
because she thought it would
Because
be
that
funny.
had happened before, though, too.
That had happened before, and also she thought it would be hilarious if he was stuck as a woman.
It happened a lot to me. The first time that it happened was in the tomb.
They
It's
played
almost
Tomb of
like I wasn't
Horrors.
there for that.
True. I remember that Levi had given us a little tiny sneak peek about the Tomb of Horrors before we started playing. And then I heard him talking to Taryn, who said that he had already read the whole module. And I heard they were talking, and Levi, you said something that was like, I'm really excited. I really want Pertusit or TJ to go in there. And I was like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I like just having a fun time. So when there was that little part of the Tomb of Horrors that like flips your alignment and your gender, I was like, that's probably what he's talking about. I didn't know that's what it did yet, but I was like, that's probably where he wants me to go. And I like having a good time. So I went in and flipped my alignment and my gender. That was the
Got
first thing that
the
happened.
gender fixed, but never
True.
the alignment. The
Joke's
alignment.
on you. I flipped my own alignment.
But yeah,
Actually, you made me flip my own alignment. You caused it.
which is worth mentioning since this is technically the TJ episode. So enough about the mountain incident and its ancillary events.
Mhm.
Let's move on to another great Finral highlight. TJ, I'll let you pick the next one, but I have one in mind that I want you to cover before this episode's over. That's
Ooh.
another great Finral highlight, a moment that you will forever either take pride in or think is one of the funniest things you did, either because it was something funny happened to you or something funny that you did, or cool, any of that stuff.
Well, actually, one of my favorites is actually before the mountain incident when we were in the attack on Belagost and I rode the dragon. No, that was that before? No, that was after. That was a little after.
Oh,
That was the third city.
we know
That
it.
was the third city genocide.
That was the third sacking that we'd seen.
Well, please elaborate for our listeners, love you to death, at home. This is a great story.
It is.
Yeah. So I think we're like level 7 at this point. We roll up on one of the main human fortress cities, and it's being attacked by like 8 adult dragons. And everyone else is like, okay, yeah, we're small. We're just gonna run in, save people, and run away. I'm just like, you know what? I've got a flying broom. I'm gonna fly up on this dragon and just ride it into things. And so I did.
It was the most badass thing in the entire world.
It was great. I couldn't believe it was working.
Same.
I chased one down because a broom's a bit slower than a dragon, so I was playing the angles. I jumped off the broom, went dual wield swords into its neck, and flew it into a ballista bolt.
Valor Bard, everyone.
Yep.
Don't forget what you said.
My voice can't handle that right now, but I essentially did the Han Solo yeehaw from episode 4.
And it was so worth it. And please tell us what happened like very soon after involving the important NPC, because this was hilarious.
Oh, well, then I tried to do it again, and I was chasing down another one that was heading for Simonius because he decided to fight an adult dragon with magic missile. And then the main human NPC, the leader of like the Paladin Order, banishing smited the dragon and then essentially died. And so I landed there, I looked down, had sword in one hand, actually sword in both hands. And then I was about to kill her because she's kind of a prick to me, which would have been funny, but probably bad. And I was like, what the heck? And I cure wounds her. Used a bard spell for once.
And then she fell in love with him.
And
For a
then
little
Very
while.
short time.
It was a crush.
Yeah. It was actually exactly just a crush. That is true, because she ended up with a completely different person at the end of that campaign.
But that was a beautiful Finral moment for sure. That
was like the embodiment of that era.
Yes, as like I said, you were such a daredevil and did so many risks in game that every single time I was like, this one's gonna kill him, right? And it never did.
Same.
Every time I thought
time.
I was going to, I just kept going.
Oh,
Ancient blue dragon with the dragon egg. I scraped
I
out of that one.
forgot about that.
Yeah,
That
that's
one was
true.
because how early was that one? That one
We were
That
like
was
level
really
3.
early.
Yeah,
We didn't
I
have
just
extra attack
didn't
yet.
want to kill you. I was like, I can't kill them. This isn't fair.
What happens when you abuse a random item that you get?
That's
Okay.
yeah, that's true. That's that's partially on us.
Yeah, I went into that one fully expecting to die, but the one time I actually had a backup character and I came out of it, I was like, okay. And then I tried to solo a boss and almost won right after that.
Well, we'll talk about all that on a day. We'll find a day. We'll talk about the whole campaign, but let's move on to some Finral highlights. at this point, we have to mention Finral's story, his actual character arc and journey. It's integral, similar to what you know about Black Clover, but distinct in that it was TJ's Finral. So tell us about the journey involving Finral, like the whole elf arc. You remember the part?
Okay, just like essentially how he ended up where he was and stuff.
Yeah, tell us about like the battle with your brother and how you won and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, so Finral was essentially he was the heir to the House of Voltaylord in the Elven lands, and he got disowned because essentially he wasn't prejudiced towards elves, and was seen with a human female in the woods, where nothing actually happened from that. Surprisingly, between the two, obviously got disowned, kicked out, sent on his merry way, not so merrily, and then just wandered for a few years, had some fun, and then the elf lands kind of got nuked. So
Yeah.
A main
Kind-
plot point of Vivia 2 was pretty much the entire elven civilization on the part of the world they were on got invaded by demons.
which would be the first sacking we were talking about.
Yep, that's where it all started.
Yup.
And then, so then Finral's younger brother, Langris, also ripped off from Black Clover universe. That one, not kind, well, name-wise and kind of character-wise, but that's where the similarities end. He essentially, well, kind of teamed up with demons. There was a whole bunch of aberration stuff too, but that was news to me. So
I can actually explain that now that the campaign's over and done with, if you ever want context for that. At some point, not right now, but
but yeah, so he took power, and so then it became Finral got asked more than once to go and liberate them all, and then it was kind of like, fine, I guess I'll go save them, and then he did. It was fun. It was funny. It was
He certainly did.
It was a 1v1 between I believe it was level 14 Valor Bard, and was it a level 17 Echo Knight
yes, level
That-
17 Echo Knight.
that I won? Well,
Yep.
he ran away, but I won.
You would have won more than likely because he ran away because he was almost dead. That's why he ran away, which just goes to show how strong the build was. That
I
you-
maintained heat metal on him for like 10 rounds.
Yeah, that too.
6 level heat metal for 10 rounds kind of does a lot.
Just a little bit of a lot. Now tell them about your coup de grace attack in that fight, because that's a favorite. That's a fan favorite.
I think I know what you're talking about. So we were describing it, clashing blows, and then blades are crossed, and I have Finral lean forward like he's going to say something, and I drank a dragon's breath potion a little bit before, and instead of saying something, I just breathed fire in his face, started laughing.
Yes, that's one of those like cinematic moments where you can see it. You can really see it happen.
That's what
had
I wish I
forgotten
could
that
animate.
happened.
This
Right?
of all the moments in our campaign that I wish that I could animate, a lot of them were Finral moments.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, we finished that, and then producer looks at Tara, and he was like, so bards are bad, huh?
Just Taryn hates them.
Taryn hates
14
bards.
level. Oh, so
To be fair, I did have defensive duelist and defender, so I was just +8 to AC every round.
true. The build was definitely helped by the items you received from the gracious DM.
That he tried to take.
But
Hey,
didn't-
at that point, it wasn't tried to take anymore.
Well, you
but
tried to take
didn't.
the defender.
Just that one. Just,
Does anybody else have a favorite Finral moment they'd like to hear TJ talk about?
All the simulacrums.
Oh yeah, we should mention that.
So my good old magical secrets, I just kept looking for stuff to kind of improve it. So took Thunderous Smite. Simulacrum was probably the main one that was used. Counterspell was key thing there when the wizard didn't take it.
Heck
Yep.
yeah.
To be fair, the wizard wasn't in the campaign by then either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he was, he still didn't take it. He took a cleric
True.
level, just a singular cleric
So
Never
he could get
forget.
the armor proficiency.
like when a good old DM cast a 9th level spell at me and I managed to counterspell it.
Yes.
Yes.
When I was like
Lucky.
level 12.
All right.
Lucky boy, yes.
So, simulacrums.
Oh.
Let's see.
They-
There were three,
Three?
four.
Or
I
Not
was
all
able
at the
to.
same time, thankfully.
Two of them were at the same time.
Two of them
Yeah.
were at the
Yes.
same
The last
time.
two, yeah. The first one, he was there for a good time. That was fun. Oh man, that's sad. I don't remember how he died.
me neither.
I don't either. Oh
Was
no, how did
it-
Laszlo die?
I remember
Wasn't
it was
it in
super
the
tragic.
fight at the 4 pillars that each one had a thing inside of it? and
Yes.
Yeah,
You
that
had
was it.
to.
It's when we
cast-
set off all the things.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
were supposed to. They had this puzzle they had to do where there was
Yeah.
this obelisk and there were 4 smaller obelisks around it, and each of the small obelisks had a type of enemy trapped inside of it, which was corrupted by the BBEG, and they had to kill it in order to like solve the puzzle.
Yeah,
So the
and
idea was,
you had to split into 2 groups because the
Yes.
same people couldn't fight twice in a row, or else they took. I think it was necrotic damage. Each
yeah, you
turn.
took necrotic damage every time you damaged something that was something you had. Like if you were doing it 2 times in a row, you would, if you hit the thing, you took necrotic damage on your turn. So long story short, they were supposed to do these one at a time. And the way to activate it was you had to hit it with magic or an effect that was related to
the sun
force-
or the moon.
the sun or the moon, because those were 2 motifs of the 2 big gods in universe, like the 2 big good guy gods, and it was mocking of them because you hit it with something that evokes them and then it kills you. Well, when they were in the middle of fighting their second one, the
It
person
was
who
going well. It was going well.
fine.
Yeah.
It was going fine. Taryn, who was
Was controlling Simonius.
Simonius as the player for Simonius, Mr. NL, wasn't there,
That's
says,
right.
I'm going to cast Sunburst on it, centered on it. And I remember, I actually like had a moment where I thought about this the other day, just in my free time. I was like, Sunburst is a giant spell, isn't it? And he knows that something that's like sun motif is going to trigger the other ones, right? Terran has that much logic. So I said, okay, where are you centering it? On top of the enemy. I look at where the enemy is. I start physically like counting the spaces to see the radius of it. No one at the table catches on as to why I'm doing this.
Yeah. In his
And-
defense, I didn't figure it out either.
I didn't
and
either.
I went, okay, so you're definitely casting the spell, Terra. Like I double checked with him and he went, yeah. And I went, okay, you
No,
cast it?
no. I remember that, and you were like, "Are you? So you're definitely casting it?" And he was like, "Oh!" Like he was like, "I don't know now." And we had this whole time where we were like, "Go ahead, turn. It's gonna do a lot of damage."
That's
He
we
was
were
like, "Okay, I
all
cast it."
encouraging him because none of us realized that this was gonna fuck us over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I said, okay, you cast it. And I did the damage. And I was like, and then the radius of the spell hits the other 2 pillars. And everyone was like, oh.
Yeah, that was the oh no moment.
Yeah, and then
And released the 2 other creatures. And then everyone who was in the middle of fighting started taking necrotic damage every
Yeah.
round.
and then Laszlo died of the necrotic damage because
Yep.
I kept having him fight because I'm a horrible person.
You're a horrible pet owner or simulacrum owner.
I'm
Yeah.
a horrible construct owner.
There you go.
Then I
And they
replaced
won
him.
that fight.
We did.
They won that fight, and I really didn't expect them to, because I had designed that with the intent of them fighting those things one by one and not all at the same time.
Oh, it hurt. It was a rough fight, but we did win.
We did.
I was fine.
You're always
Exactly.
fine.
He's always fine.
Just my simulacrum was a bit of a pup. And then I replaced him.
And you replaced him.
How did the second one die?
Oh,
Time
the second,
shenanigans.
yeah,
That
the
was for the
second,
time heist.
the second one, it was that was good old Inigo, and that was whenever we went back in time. And I was like, well, I'm like level 19 now, and he's level 15, so I should make another one while I have time to. And so then he melted when I made the new one.
I watched
can't-
it happen.
Can we pause? What happened? He cast a spell while they're in time, because if you listen to the Terran episode, Terran invented time travel over the course of Vivia 2. And so he, TJ, and Dylan went to go on a little time adventure right before we were
Never
supposed
again.
to fight. And I still say it's the most brilliant thing anyone's ever done.
It
But
worked.
they went on a time adventure, and so the rest of us are prepping for this battle, and Inigo is helping. And
Inigo being Finral's second
yes,
simulacrum.
the simulacrum.
Which Laszlo and Inigo being the names of the other character that I based Finral off of.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then Pertuzit sees.
Yeah.
I was
Because-
in game as Vector, and I was doing a little bit of. I can't remember exactly what I was doing.
We were painting cardboard cutouts.
Another
Yes.
simulacrum was made in the past.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was
Question mark?
essentially we didn't want to have to retcon everything that had happened.
Yeah.
So it's just
So-
like he melts in the present.
Yeah, I had the one that was in the present just disintegrate
And
in
Right,
Victor
front
was
of
the only one that
Victor's
saw
eyes.
it. Yeah. I remember. I think I role played that where Victor was like, "Oh no, Finral!" Like,
Yeah.
What was it exactly I was even doing at the time? I can't remember. Like,
you were
That
getting
was
your
when you made your
sword.
sword, yeah.
that's what I thought it was, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your sword and some extra beans, I think, as well.
When I went to make the DM's life even harder and used 2 wish spells and god blood to fuse all my swords into one,
Yeah.
essentially making an artifact weapon.
It was
Yeah.
really weird because it came out looking like scissors, but it still hurt. No, no.
I want
I'm
that
kidding.
sword in Vivia 3. That is my goal. I want that sword in Vivia 3.
But
It
what
Scissors?
if
exists. It's an item.
what if I want it though?
I'll rock, paper, scissors.
That would be really funny if you got it in Vivia 3 because you're a kobold.
Very funny.
It'd be taller than the kobold. But
Yeah.
it's mithril, so he could still use it because it weighs essentially nothing.
Yep. Okay. Last thing I want to mention because it correlates to what we're about to get into. Let's talk about all of Finral's dealings with extraplanar entities, shall we? Can you just TJ sum up all the deals you had?
Okay. So like I said, how I was like I didn't need my alignment flip because I flipped it myself. Yeah, after seeing 3+ cities get wiped out by an evil god, Finral kind of decided like, well, mortals shouldn't be fighting gods in the first place, so why aren't the gods here? And the answer he got was they were doing more important things, which was fair to me as a player, but to a character that doesn't have that knowledge, it's just like, well, you guys just suck. And then he witnessed the blood war between devils and demons being who worked for the big bad. And he was just like, yeah, these guys get it. They're brutally fighting the demons. So he was like, I like these guys. They know what's up. And so then he stole a heart that was supposed to be destroyed. That was essentially a battery for the main devil, and gave it to them, like the good little not so good boy he was. In return for essentially help in the final fight, armor and a shield that he never got because the Smith Devil died like a loser.
That was a great one. That one was a very focal one.
Yeah. Also, I had a devil in my shield that I released for a similar agreement.
Yeah, this all came from the Descent into Avernus adventure. We just really we messed around with it.
Yeah.
So he
And then-
had the Shield of the Hidden Lord. So he had
Mhm.
Gargouth was one of his dealings.
Mhm.
Yep. And then there was also DM planted a god resuscitating in me, but then the god
Yep.
didn't like me because I went evil. So he was
Yep.
like, yeah, you gotta, because then turns out Finral didn't have a soul for the entire campaign. He just had a god soul in him. So it's like, yeah, you gotta get your own soul back or you're gonna just keel over. So he did that too.
And who happened to have this soul, TJ?
This, I just want to say, okay, this is, now that I think about it, this is probably my favorite Finral thing ever, which is that TJ and Mr. NL, who played Simonius, him and Finral sat down and just had an off-cuff discussion one
On the
time in
campfire.
game about the Flying Dutchman and how Finral had interacted with him before and made a deal with him, in which he gave up his soul for like
Essentially
his
for charisma.
for his performance skills as a bard. And Finral always made the joke that he actually gave him like his foot soul, duh, haha. And then I ended up making this true, but Finral actually did give him his real soul, and that's why Finral didn't have his actual soul. And so the god soul inside of him was what was keeping him alive, pretty much.
And his foot soul. I remember that was also a thing that he got back whenever the Flying Dutchman deal was ended as well.
That's true. I had balance.
He had balance.
Yeah, so there was that. Then I tried to actually almost probably succeeded. I tried to bring the devils to the material plane, but then they didn't have any interest in it because they didn't care about the blood war anymore.
And let's not forget your other extraplanar deal
Yeah.
from the Shadowfell. You're doing a whole home run here.
Your shadow buddy.
Good old Uldurat. Yeah. So from like level 2, I had a Shadowfell living in me. It was in an NPC and then it got transferred into me. It might have been more like level 4 when it was in me, but it was just there the whole time, just vibing, just waiting for its moment. And then I was just like, hey man, you're gonna live here. Let's just chill. You pay some rent. You can eat a god when we kill it. You actually got to eat 2 gods. And so, like I said, I went 18 levels bard, and then I took 2 levels of paladin because paladins are broken. So I could do essentially 9th level smites if I wanted to, which would be a waste, but I could do it. And so I was able to take on a Nightwalker form because of that, because I'm so charismatic and convincing to this Nightwalker to just be like, yeah, okay, that works. And so I was smiting Nightwalker attacks. I was hitting for like 20 d8 a round. And
Crazy.
yeah, I hit for what, 120 damage in 1 round in the big bad fight.
Quite a lot. Something like, I know it was over 100 for sure.
It was a great deal.
Mm.
I had my my own theme playing during that. It was a good time. Everybody, like Victor was banished. At least 2 people were down at that point.
I think I might have been down.
Actually,
Taryn definitely was down.
Taryn
Yep.
was definitely down. Taryn went down before the phase change, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dylan was down too.
That's how, yeah, because like I think that 2 people had to carry most of the party out of that encounter.
Yeah, I remember that because Dylan
I
did his
know-
classic, well, both, and then looked at me.
Yeah, because I know that Atlas was unconscious. I think Shira was unconscious.
Both my simulacrum had melted at that point. They got killed.
And the dragon had died that we brought.
Oh, which one? Ours or the one that got
Valerie 4.
cloned and turned against us?
Terrans.
Yeah, that one died in like 1 round.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know it was from Terran.
Well, boys, that just makes me think of like Saladin gets hit and is at 0 HP, but he's like still standing up, and he looks around at the rest of the party and goes, "Well, boys," and just collapses.
That's
onto
what
the
it
ground.
was like. I remember that because Dylan said that. He looked up at the table, turned, looked at me with a big smile on his face, and went, "Well, boys, he's down." Like, that's another episode for another time.
Yeah, so me and my Nightwalker buddy just smacking around gods.
Yep. You had quite a number of dealings from every realm imaginable, just about there.
Not the Fae.
Celestia or the Fae.
No, that
Yeah.
was
Not the
me.
2 good aligned ones.
Well, I kind of dealt with the Celestials. They just didn't deal with me.
That's true. Yeah.
it's worth mentioning, despite all these dealings, who
I
was
did-
your oath from?
Oh, well, I technically didn't take an oath because I didn't get that far.
Well,
But I was essentially a paladin of Illustriate. Because I was like, yeah, she's like, she
hot
was
dog.
the hot dog. My interaction with her, I was like, yeah, she's like the only good god. They all suck except for this
Good old hot dog.
Yep. So
one. And then I,
Levi's gonna kill us.
we didn't know how to say Elistre's name, so we just called her hot dog. But
No, we named her hot dog before she even came into existence.
yeah,
True.
that was what we were saying. The name it was you being born.
well, again, another time we'll talk more about hot dog. Well, TJ, that you had so much going on with Finral. That's got to be that's your master class, rate. That's your masterful
Master
character.
what?
Huh?
Who?
Master
Third base. Third base.
I don't think that's what you do at third base. I think that's more of like a 0th base thing. You do that before you get to first base with someone.
Well, it's up for TJ to decide. He's the sporty one amongst us.
Baseball. Yeah.
We're running short on time here, TJ, but let's go ahead. We'll briefly cover your experience of your characters in Olympus, since that's our other main line. We got to start with Darkness.
Yeah. So before that, producer like, yeah, you gotta play a girl at least once. And I was like, okay, well, I'll play the masochist from Konosuba then, because that would be fun. And I did.
And he did.
And that was just a straight knockoff. We even remade some of the scenes.
Wait, you told him that he had to play a girl at some point?
Well, like, it was one of those things where I kept going.
He was
like,
kind of joking, but he kind of wasn't.
Yes. I just kept going like, you gotta do it eventually. I wanted to push him out of his comfort zone.
Which was also my first character death, but I essentially forced it because I went all the way into Hades before I died.
True. In our Greek style campaign.
That is not Theros.
It's not Theros. There were a couple times where Darkness definitely could have, should have, would have died, especially at level 1 with that very first fight. But
Oh yeah.
she managed to survive quite a bit, especially the beehive fight.
Did she jump into 2 separate pits at some point?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Took the fall damage and just kept going.
But she survived until I presented, like, she had to do some wisdom saving throws. She was a fighter.
Failed.
Yeah, she failed the wisdom saving
Had
throws.
a -2 to whiz, I believe.
Yes. And even after failing the wisdom saving throws, the gates of Hades opened in front of her. And like, okay, a normal character could have been like, whoa, that's harrowing. I'm going to stay away from it. But it was Darkness. I knew what I was doing when I said the gates of Hades open in front of you.
And when I knew what I was doing, when I ran in excitedly.
Yes. And that was the end of Darkness.
Well, not quite. There was about 20 more minutes before I got brutally massacred by 2 devils.
Hecatoncheires.
Yeah, hey, devils aren't real in Greece unless they are.
I'm sorry that Greek names don't stick with me.
That's fair. I don't know English names either.
Words?
That's why your last name is Pertusis.
Yeah.
Hey, I put up a heck of a fight though. I had it down to like 3 hit points, and then true to form, I missed 4 attacks in a row and didn't kill it.
Yeah, that was crazy. I wanted you to get that 1 kill. There was some ruling I made. I can't remember what I gave you like an extra attack. We retroactively gave you an extra attack.
It was because of where I summoned that the bullet thing, and we made it to where they focused that essentially.
Yeah, that's right.
And it gave me an extra round, and then I missed all of my attacks and my action surge attacks.
Yeah, which that does remind me with the upcoming stuff happening in the campaign. Keep the Darkness stat block on standby because that's coming into play soon.
Oh no.
I never messed with it.
Okay, good.
But yeah, speaking of the bullet though, yeah, that's the second campaign I've abused beans.
And the bag of beans. The beans, the person definitely abused, but also the bag of beans.
Ooh. Yeah, there will never be a bag of beans in the Vivia campaign again.
Levi will make sure of it. He has firmly stated it will never happen again. But he keeps giving us decks of many things.
Yeah. We're gonna soon have like a whole trading card game of decks of many things.
I'll cry. No.
The kids are all doing it.
I hate the deck of many things with a pet of okay, not really, like it's a meme, but it stresses me out so bad.
Yeah, me too. I'm not gonna put it in my campaign. I don't want things to get derailed so hard, but
I just kept drawing the bad cards.
Yeah.
The skull, the rogue.
Well, before we completely wrap up, we gotta cover your current Olympus character.
Yeah, true to form, my knockoff of Kazuma, since Darkness died.
Now, of course, playing Kazuma, you know, anyone that knows Konosuba is gonna know who that is. Okay. That's that. I'd like to mention the fact that he adopted an NPC because I made a Kazuma NPC and he just took it and made it into his player character. But what's much more noteworthy is the build that you gave him. Please tell us about the build of Kazuma, TJ.
Okay, so he is let me look at it exactly. Levi gags every time he hears it.
Every single time.
Every time. It sickens him.
It is disgusting, but I feel like it's true to form for
It
a
is.
character.
It works.
He is currently at level 10 with 3 levels of War Master Wizard, 3 levels of Arcane Archer Fighter, and 3 levels of what is the class again?
Oh no.
It's Rogue. I can't think of which Rogue it is. Mastermind Rogue.
Yeah.
4 levels of Mastermind Rogue.
We're talking about the
Disgusting.
Cosmo. Yep, there it is.
There it is.
I hate it. It's the worst part is that it's not bad mechanically. It's just gross to look at.
You can't say that's so mean to Kazuma.
No, he's pretty gross, but it's okay.
He shot me. He shot me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
All
see,
right.
I let everybody else get in close, and then if something gets close to me, I just run away and make mirror images and shoot them.
Such is the way of the Cosmo, right?
Hey,
Well,
Cosmo days.
thank you for sharing, TJ. Thank you for sharing your D&D adventure. What? Let's end this on a nice happy bow. What do you now think of D&D presently? What do you think about the game Dungeons and Dragons?
I mean, honestly, some of the probably best times as a group we've had have been playing that. So, what is there to say about it?
Tell the people at home as if they're we're not here. Would you
Oh.
recommend it?
Hmm.
Or
Yes,
is it
and
cool?
I mean, I would say most people probably would say no, it's not cool, but we're the
Yeah.
we're the better half of the population, so it's cool to us.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that's TJ. Everybody at home. Oh, let's give you an opportunity, TJ. Is there anything else you would, while you're on the wide world of the web, is there anything amazing you'd like to tell all the audio listeners that we love to death, or the visual watchers that we hate to death?
That don't exist.
They will.
No, not particularly.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing particularly. Thank you, TJ, for being on the show. Everybody clap for TJ.
Woo!
Not us!
There's the fan. Hi, this is Jordan from Nat One Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode you just listened to, and we hope that you come back for more soon. If you'd like to keep up with the zany shenanigans of our lives and the different things that we do, you can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, Castbox, and Anchor. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And hey, thanks.